Hey, welcome back to Clean Cut, where we can talk about the truth about just about anything, as long as we use logic and common sense.
This season, we're looking at the miracles of Jesus to see what they can tell us about God and his promises to the faithful. Last time, we talked about drawing wine from water, how Jesus can turn the most common drinks into the most valuable. Today, drawing money from fish. This miracle happened once and was written about in only one of the Gospels. But it still counts and has implications for our understanding of God's generosity. It's very short, only 4 verses long, and the miracle itself isn't even described. We only know this happened because Jesus said it would. And when they were come to Capharnaum, they that received the didrachmas came to Peter and said to him, Doth not your master pay the didrachmas? Matthew 17:23. These people were receiving a type of ancient currency as a temple tax, like an older type of church collection. People who used the temple services were expected to pay this. A didrachma is about half of what a Roman denarius would be worth, so about half of a full day's wages. He said, Yes. And when he was come into the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, What is thy opinion, Simon? The kings of the earth, of whom do they receive tribute or custom? Of their own children, or of strangers? Matthew 17:24. Jesus clearly knows what Peter has recently been talking about with the men of the temple, so he makes a comparison between himself paying temple taxes with a prince paying tribute to his own father the king. And he said, Of strangers. Jesus said to him, Then the children are free. Matthew 17:25. Jesus uses this comparison to point out that he has no moral obligation to pay temple taxes, any more than the son of a king is required to be taxed by him. However, there's more than just moral obligations to consider here. But, though we may not scandalize them, go to the sea and cast in a hook. Matthew 17:26a. Jesus is concerned that if he outright refuses to pay the temple tax, other people will interpret his refusal as rebellion, or will be led into sinful acts by following his example, since, unlike Jesus, they do have an obligation to support the needs of the temple of God. This is what Jesus means by scandal, words or actions that are likely to lead others astray. And that fish which shall first come up, take, and when thou hast opened its mouth, thou shalt find a stater. Take that, and give it to them for me and thee. Matthew 17:26b. A stater is a coin which is worth the same as 2 didrachma, enough to pay the temple tax for both Jesus and Peter. This apparently occurs afterwards. Peter catches a single fish with precisely the right amount of money in its mouth to pay what's required. Of course, as a fisherman, Peter was used to making money off of fish anyway, but typically a single fish isn't worth nearly an entire stater. It would be like finding several $100s in a largemouth bass. It's also worth noting that although Jesus is able to miraculously acquire money, he doesn't acquire any more than is absolutely necessary for his and Peter's immediate needs. Excess money comes with temptations, both for you and for others close to you, though Jesus wouldn't have been tempted by it. And in any case, as we discussed in episode 635 about the temptation of riches, all the power of money comes from others not having money. So it's a double-edged sword. If Jesus were to miraculously make a pile of gold, everyone else who owned gold would be worse off because of it, and it would therefore be a selfish action, causing harm to others for personal profit. Instead, Jesus produces only the amount that's needed, and for good reason, to avoid leading others into sin. So, while it is certainly possible for Jesus to make money from nothing, it's better to seek the other more important things that he can provide: physical and mental health, food, drink, and security, while also recognizing that in cases where money is the solution, he is certainly still able to provide it. Next time, withering a fig tree.
That's all for now, so keep asking questions, and thanks for watching.